ladies and gentlemen. My name is Travis Snell, and I'm looking at my camera, and that feels. I don't know if that's a dent or what that is, but woo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Thought Bubbles. This is unprecedented Thought Bubbles. You know why? Because I'm not supposed to be here. If you're on Patreon, not that I use it as exclusive, or if you listen to the end credit scene of our Shang-Chi review, I explained my project and where I will be come September and why I might not be around and everything like that. And a big thank you to everyone. That project has not come yet. I'm still waiting on it. It was supposed to come yesterday and it hasn't happened, but I'm very happy that project did not because, man, and I'm not going to be talking about this. At some point, I have a podcast network. We do so many shows and whatnot. At some point, I will have a wrestling show. And man, last night was definitely, and we're so busy. And luckily, you can head down below and there's a survey you can do. And we really want you to because we're going to start in next year, but more so probably October when I get back full time. We're going to be making some changes. Nothing really big or bad. I don't think anything like with the feeds. I think only better stuff. Like you're not going to be losing content or anything like that. So stay tuned. But what we want to do though is we want to make sure before we change anything, hey, if there's something we want to change that was dead right, which luckily so far there's nothing like people say don't change this and we're going to change it. That's been happened. But below is a survey. It's in the description for the audio, for the video, everything like that, and it's anonymous. So the reason we did that as well, because sometimes there's people that they love us but they might have a critique, but if they don't want to hurt our feelings or they don't want to, come off like an asshole or something, which you wouldn't, they don't want to say something. So they go, oh, you're great. I love the feedback and we've gotten great feedback so far. So thank you everyone that has done that. But please, I think that'll be up, I don't know, for the next month or so. We'll probably promote it a few times, but we'd appreciate it a lot because when we're going to make these changes, like I said, we want to know what content you're into, how you consume the content, how we can help, how whatnot. We got there's one of the questions like, what would you like to see less of in Geekverse? One of the answers legitimately was Travis's face. Ooh, but you know what? Just like Willem Dafoe said in Spider-Man 2002, you know how much I've sacrificed without this face. As we've told before, I'm the brand. I'm the GB Kings. This is Thought Bubbles. I get to say whatever I want. I am the money maker. It's all about here. This face built this place. So luckily, if they're joking, then fun joke. If not, I don't give a fuck. It's a fun time, but please do that because that helps us. But either way, that's going to be doing some changes and whatnot, and that's going to help in October, the new year. So stay tuned. Lots of fun stuff, nothing but good things. So like I said, my project and I was getting back to the wrestling and everything like that. Fantastic weekend. Art Anu says more Kirklin. Well, Kirklin, he's a little busy. As he said, the last cast, he has his puppy right now. But there was, and maybe you did this, I'm not sure. There was one that said what they want to see more of, and they want to see Kirklin do it naked. I'm assuming that means the podcast. That would cost us a lot of money. We've had this conversation before. What would it take? But no, more Kirkland's always better. If you said that, Aaron, you better be checking out his weekly Twitch streams. You better be there because he's there all the time. And stay tuned because we might be doing some more stuff with Twitch in the future. Oh, Macaulay Culkin face. But either way, legitimately one of the things that people put what they want more is to talk more wrestling. And I know I used to do it a little bit in the past. Not going to tonight, other than man, it was such a fucking great night. What was it? September 5th, All Out. CM Punk's first match back, Adam Cole, Daniel Bryan, AW. You may not know. Here's the best thing. Wasn't me, but he's hot, though. I'll have to pass on the words. Hopefully he listens to this. Kirkland, Art, I hope I'm saying your name right. Atuyu Aron says, wasn't me, but he's hot, though. So there you go. The best way I can describe this is my WWE and AEW relationship. I was in a relationship that was terrible, that was mentally abusive, and now the past few years have been this great relationship. And the best thing was that old relationship that sucked. They were all asshole your friends. This relationship, they're best with your friends. And just like this wrestling legitimately 1, 2, 3, legitimately makes me feel like a child again. And it's just fantastic. And if you go to my Twitter feed, you can see that I am rocking a good time. And one day I've talked to a few people, one's on GOA and there's a couple other people I'd love to. It's just as again, with these surveys, lots of people be like, hey, do this, do this. We've always said all these things that people throw out, we want to do. We don't just do like, oh, hey, and legitimately there was one. I have no problem people being like, oh, you talk a lot about superhero stuff. One, we're all passionate about that, but two, if you were to look at the stats and look at what we make profits on, the superhero stuff would not go anywhere because that is the bread and butter. That this past weekend was great for us, and that's what I like thought bubbles. I like being honest, and we always say like those, as we mentioned a couple weeks ago on a stream, we had some audio gear break, and then we just purchased a new laptop for the charity stream coming up to help us with all that. Hopefully, multiple cameras. So everything you guys do, especially when you look into it now with Patreon, the podcast going forward, we're buying some gear, but after that, all of it gets put into content. So the more you support us, the more content we're going to create. So stuff saying like, we want more wrestling shows, we want more fun skits, stuff like that. If you want that, support us. Anyway, listening to this for sure, subscribing, leaving reviews, even $1 Patreon, that helps. So, and if not, like I said, the free way, just support us, listen. That's a great call. So, uh, Ontario. Okay, that's how you said Ontario. I'll try and remember Ontario. So, Kirklin, if you're listening to that, Ontario's a big fan of you. So this is a thought bubble. So this is just, I'm doing this because, as I said, I might not be around for the little bit here, but I thought I want to talk about this. So Shang-Chi. Oh, and down below is all the descriptions, right? You can find the podcast network, our audio feeds, our video feeds, all our feeds. We just also reviewed Shang-Chi a few days ago. Go check that out. You can also see there is a track in there that is just the end credit scene spoilers breakdown. That's something we're going to explain. That's part of our new plan where there may or may not be cutouts of certain newscasts and whatnot, because we did a 2 hour, 2.5 hour plus Shang-Chi review. And we know, especially someone like myself, I have listened to our Alliance review and I've listened to one other, but my backlog of podcasts is just so full because at my job now I can't listen to them. So we cut it out because that's pretty much a newscast conversation. We thought, okay, if people don't have time to listen to this, you can listen to just that end credit breakdown. So that, and the last plug, I have reviewed Karen. That was something. Go listen to my review so you don't need to watch the movie. You know, that's not what you have to do. Isn't the Shang-Chi correctly pronounced Shang-Chi? I think so. I think you're right. I think it's just my fun Canadian accent that I always go with the chi. It's so funny the journey we've been on, because I remember after Endgame where all of us were calling it Shang-Chi for the longest time, but Shang-Chi, yeah, that's probably the right way to go. So, but this is about Shang-Chi and its box office, because like I said, I may not be here for the newscast. We got a newscast coming up this week. There'll be a What If review, a Malignant review. We just got tons of stuff popping off. So that's why head over to Twitter and Facebook. You get updates galore of the schedule, content, everything like that. So Shang-Chi comes out, right? Last week it was projected 45-55 was the high end, right? So me and Taylor talked about in the newscast, and he was, or was the predictions for that, and we said, would it break Black Widow? I said no, and he said yes. So luckily, hashtag Trask told you, it didn't happen, but man, was it close. Now it has, let me check Box Office Mojo, because I know obviously it's been on a full weekend, but what I was going to talk about a few things was, it's obviously Labor Day weekend, which I'm going to start right there. I All these articles were like showing it's going to break the Labor Day weekend, all this stuff. So okay, worldwide gross right now is 146. So even then that's comparable, but I'm going to not use that number for a second. I'll tell you why. So everyone kept saying it's breaking Labor Day weekend, it's breaking Labor Day weekend. I was like, what is Labor Day weekend? And when it came out that it's the 2007 remake of Halloween that is $27 million, man, I'm so surprised no one else has released a movie on Labor Day. Like, is it just not a? It's strange because 2007. I'd have to look, and I feel like since then there has been something bigger than the Halloween remake that came out. Does it just a weekend that doesn't track well for a long weekend in September? I don't know. It was strange when that happened. So luckily, the record that it broke, it's going to like seem a lot bigger now, right? What is it, 74 million or something like that? So, but if it would have just been the 45 to 50 million, it's like, yeah, you broke the record, but it wasn't that big. Do you think the lack of premiere access helped Shang-Chi? Atreyo says, I will get in that into second, because helped is a interesting word. I think yes and no. So that's a tease. So anyways, it had the 3-day weekend of, like I said, I think it was 74 million, somewhere around that. Do they have that? It was 75. It finally clocked in at. So all in all, I got to pull up the stats here, but it made, I think it was 20. Oh, I just talked about it in the Discord. But anyways, Halloween having that record, kind of funny. That is That's a movie. I know we're gonna retro it one day, and I don't know if I'm looking for that because Rob Zombie has quite the style. So let's see here. Okay, I'm drink. So Shang-Chi did 127 million, and then Black Widow did 218. So to start with Shang-Chi, it past projections, right? Which is a good thing to start off. Now, every studio makes projections lower than they thought. So they probably thought if they're saying 50, 55 the highest, they probably thought 60, 65 was possible. But still to jump up to 75, and then we're just talking domestic to make 90, really good. That's pure word of mouth. As I said on the review, but even more so, we've echoed this. I think they talk about this Marvel Alliance. We've echoed this in the chat on Twitter. If this movie would have came out regular time, it would have just destroyed and done so well. I think it could have been a $1 billion movie. I think it would have easily beat Black Widow, but so it gets past all the projections, right? That's outstanding. That's great, especially if you go from 55 to 75. That's a 20 million bump. Awesome. So if you look at it though, it's still, I think Black Widows was like 84. So it's still like what, 9 million below. So that's not too bad. Like that's really good, right? Now, the worldwide markets, I don't know exactly all the ones they're opened up in, but if you look at the openings, Shang-Chi did, and I'm just gonna talk about the 3-day weekend. Now I know some, or the like just the regular weekend. I know someone might be like, why aren't you talking about Labor Day? Labor Day is good. They set the record, 90 million. Awesome. I'm talking about the comparison of Black Widow and Shang-Chi because I think it is crucial to what happens next going forward. As I said, 127 Shang-Chi and then 218 Black Widow. So it did blow like above expectations, and everyone's taking this as a big victory lap, and they should, right? It's not bad news, and I hate to like, I'm not trying to be like the downer. I'm not trying to be like, oh, it's not that good because it is. But like, if you look at it and you got Black Widow, right? We take 2 to 18, we do blah blah blah. We do some math here. 91 million is the difference. Now, let's just say Shang-Chi would have got 60 million. Let's say just that, because who knows what it would have got on Premier Access. You could make some case that Black Widow's a bigger character. Yeah. But let's just say for arguments for fun, it was 60 million. As we've talked about before, Black Widow, and I think people, other third parties have kind of put out that they made, I think even the lawsuit, it came out that overall with Premier Access, they made 120 million overall, somewhere like that. I think that number is right, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to talk about the 60 million that they put out there. Utrayo says, Shang-Chi holding that record isn't that all impressive. It's like a pro wrestler being an elementary school wrestling team. Yeah, pretty much. Like it, like when people were saying that, I was shocked because I was like, oh, okay, what did open? And then it was a rated R 27, 2007 mixed Halloween remake. I was like, okay, that's not impressive. What is impressive is that it got up to 90 million for the Labor Day week. That's great. Even the 75, right? So really well done by them. Let's say it makes the 60 million that Black Widow made. Right then, you have a 31 million difference only. That's not too bad. And we talked about this before. The PA money, majority of it, you are like the high majority, high percentage, you're keeping all of it. So that's my thing of like, and I agree. And this is where, luckily, podcast network are people that listen and whatnot to the Geek First are smart to know that it's not, this isn't boom, we got it. Shang-Chi saved the theaters. That's why I was so surprised. Like, and before I continue on with Shang-Chi, Venom. Venom out of nowhere. So a few weeks ago, dropped that trailer, right? This fall. And then it delayed to, because what? It was like September 23rd, I think was the date. And then it got delayed to October 15th, same day as Halloween Kills. And then they moved off that. Now they're the first week of October. That feels very, very reactionary, in my opinion. That's strange. I don't think that is the right move. I get the idea of moving it off 15th because you have Halloween Kills there, but it's just like, I do feel like there's still difference of an audience, but there's a crossover there, so I do get it. But it's that is just such a funny move, and I just feel like Venom is just, they're just trying to, I don't know, I don't want to say ride the coattails of Shang-Chi, but in a sense, it's almost like, well, these movies are making money, so let's move it up earlier before like Delta variant or anything else gets really, really bad and theaters get really bad again. That's an odd move and it just smells of desperation. But at the end of the day, everyone's desperate in this like pandemic to make money again, right? With these big companies and everything. So that's moved up. I I don't know. I think we'll talk about that when we get closer. I don't know what Venom is gonna do. I don't think it will do Shang-Chi numbers, but maybe it's the Transformers effect, right? Some people would say the Fast and Furious effect, that they just want to see, an entertaining movie and turn their brain off, which I think that's Venom 2 will be. You got stars in there, so okay. But that's where, again, I'm not trying to be the downer, and I think, yeah, yeah, let's see here. Where's the right comment? Atreo says, I feel studios are testing the waters. Yeah, pretty much. Like, there's nobody that has understood what they're doing yet. Like, they're all trying to figure it out. And I think Disney's still that way. So here's the thing. Again, it is a it's a big win for Shang-Chi because it's bigger than the opening is bigger than we thought it was going to be. But on the whole, to me, when you look at it, it's like 91 million, then less than Black Widow. Again, I gotta keep saying that. Like, yes, it's good because of word of mouth, but still 91 million less. And that is, again, if you were to do the PA, only 31 million, which I don't think that's bad. It all comes down to next weekend. And that's I've been talking about with podcasts and the members and whatnot. Because if next weekend it does really well, and it could for a way make up for what it didn't have on PA, then it's like, okay, theaters are back. We're doing really well. The no, like I think having no PA, what you asked your trio is like, did it have no PA helping it? I think it did for sure. But at the same time, you have a movie that made more than it in Black Widow and then got 60 million. There's two arguments there, right? There is, well, it was going to make like 40 to 50 million, but those people that would have stayed home came out to see the movie and it boosted it up, right? Or you got the argument of the people that are still going to the theaters that feel comfortable went to the theaters, and the people that want to be home maybe are waiting for that 45-day window, because there's tons of people that, don't want to go out, can't go out. There's soon to be, like with us, we're getting vaccination passports. So it's like in a week or two, I think it's September 13th for us, if you're not vaxxed, you can't go to theaters. So that's what's going to be interesting too. It's funny because in Canada, though, like the vaccinations things rose, and it's funny how so many people are a hypocrite when like, I will not put nothing in my body. You can't do anything to me. Oh, I can't go to the bar. Oh, okay, I'll do it. Which good. I don't fucking care. Get vaccinated so we can like get past this thing. But in a week or two, for us at least, and lots of places in Canada, you won't be able to see movie theaters unless they're vaccinated. So they're hidden in a right spot. Maybe that's why Venom is, well, even then Venom wouldn't get past it. But so that's the thing. Did that PA, the people that would play in PA, go and boost those projections up, or did they stay at home and that's left money? And that's what's interesting because it's on Disney Plus for free in 45 days, less than that. Right now, it's like 40 days because of how long the review's been out. So I don't know. It's interesting. I still word of mouth helps it a lot. That's really good. And Chris from Marvel Alliance point out too is like there's not much coming out till Bond. Well, now Venom, but before it was Bond, right? So they kind of had till October 8th the run game, and that's a good thing. They've showed like lots of movies been sticking around the theater making little chunks of money. Not great, but still better than nothing. It's all about the second weekend because if that comes out and has like a Fast 9 Black Widow plunge, it's going to hurt a lot more. You know why? Two reasons. Black Widow had the PA. That helped. One, it had the extra money from the PA, but also had the better profit from the PA. Is Free Guy still doing well? I think it's doing primarily well. I think so, especially in some international markets. But again, if you look at the budget for that thing, it's doing well. But like if this was regular times, not well. So it's like people are still probably losing quite a bit of money on these movies. Black Widow had that big drop that had PA. So that could be the argument of, well, it dropped because Premier Access. That's what they're trying to hope with Shang-Chi, right? Is that it will not drop because we don't have Premier Access. So people that would have seen it this weekend maybe couldn't, or they didn't feel comfortable. Maybe they'll come out the second week to go see it. Maybe people go get a double viewing. Or you got F9, which is had that big drop too, but played in China, played a lot of international markets where it made that money. Where as of right now, I don't think Shang-Chi is playing in China. Now I know people go back and forth. They've told me because they have that like that blackout where they're only showing, like domestic films to them. That's true, but we also heard like it's a strange situation because we had also heard that they were not a fan of the movie as far as like they have heroes already of their culture. We don't need to see the Americanized version. The stupid claims of like, oh, Simu Lee and Aquafina are not pretty enough to be in this movie. So it's like if it is even going to play in China, because I don't think Black Widow has, and one thing that does help them is Black Widow was torrented a lot, right? So if it does go play in China, it's not going to have a big splash because apparently there's like torrented copies everywhere. You won't have that with Shang-Chi, but we'll we'll see. F9 again have the international markets. This has some of them, but not as many, and it doesn't have that same pull that F9 does. Because F9 international is like a super beast, right? So what do I think is going to happen next weekend? Well, I'm going to share that after the first ad break. And we're back, just like that. Smooth, clean, cut down the middle. So weekend 2, man. So Labor Day, I don't think it would count. So we're gonna go from 75. What do I think? Like I could say, what is disastrous? Obviously, like what the plunge was like 70% or something like that with F9 and Black Widow. So obviously that wouldn't be good. So 70, I think if they could get around the 35 to 40 million range, again, this is where I just because this is what I was trying to explain to some people where you have the projections, right? They put out projections, other people put out projections, and usually you lowball because then it always comes out top and you say it blew past our projections. Luckily, this is a bigger blow past, so you get to celebrate even more. Projections and expectations are two different things. So let's say it comes out next week and it has just like a 50% drop or something. That's what you want a blockbuster. That 40 to 50 is really good. 60 is pretty par for the course for a superhero film because it gets so high. When you're getting that 65, 70 plus, that's when it's like, oof, okay, this is a big drop. People aren't interested. They're not coming out for second viewings. If you have it make like 30, like I feel like for it to be like a massive success, right, is like a 50 plus, is like really have like a really really good hold. Can that happen? I don't know. We're in uncharted territories. We're not to me gonna know till next weekend and see like, oh, this is what this movie does. Free Guy had a really good hold, but Free Guy also had a smaller opening, right? So let's say it does like even a 30 to 40 million. I think that's really solid. I think that's a really good second weekend. But again, that doesn't make up for the 60 million. You'd be like, what, still down 20 million from that PA Black Widow made. And again, this is me completely just playing fantasy booking because we don't know Shang-Chi would have made 60 million premiere access. They could put out and maybe it wouldn't have, maybe it would have done like numbers like Krill where they don't share it. Maybe it would have done more. That's what we don't know. But let's just say for fun, it could have made somewhere around 60 million. And I do believe that. I think there's enough people that are sitting at home that heard that word of mouth that would have got. I would have because me and my fiance, she was not feeling the greatest. So me and my daughter went, which was great. It's so fun that me and her have seen an MCU movie together, live action one. She did pretty good. You go back on the review, I talked about it. But for her, she does really want to see it. And if we had the option, I would have gone it. And I would have gone it too also for myself because Black Widow I saw in the theaters. It's like, I'm good. I don't need to see it again anytime soon. This right away at this weekend, I want to. There's a specific reason I have not tweeted out my MC rankings because right now I have it currently. I think it's like 14th. Now here's the thing: I have other movies that I've had in these spots for a long time, like where's my letterbox account? Where are you, Rainbow Colors? I had like and some people might think this is sacrilege because people have this movie excuse me, like rated pretty high, and that's awesome. I'm glad people are really enjoying it. I like I said, I think it's another solid B tier for Marvel. I gave it an 8.5, which I obviously is pretty good. It's just below an A. Like I think there's a few things missing that could have got it higher, but people are loving it. So right now I have it at 15. It's behind Incredible Hulk and Thor, the original one, and Falcon Winter Soldier. I don't, and then after that's the Winter Soldier at 11. I don't think it would ever get past 12. I think I need one, and I have it at 15 just because I'm unsure about it. I think one more rematch would, or one more rewatch would solidify it staying right where it is, or it's going up a little bit because those movies I've just seen so many times and they've been around, right? So for me to bump it up there, I got to feel confident. Falcon Winter Soldier is new. I still think it could come underneath that because as much as I love Shang-Chi, it never hit any of the heights that it did with um the race stuff, especially the speech with the end, but all the stuff with Carl Lumbly, like that, like Isaiah Bradley, that is some of the most special MCU stuff. And as much as I really enjoy Shang-Chi, I don't think there's anything in that movie that comes close to that. I think Falcon Winter Soldier has more weakness than Shang-Chi, but it's kind of thing like there's more, has weaker points, but the highs are way higher in my opinion. Thor and Hulk, they're just like great adventures that I need to watch again and whatnot. So that's why I haven't shared it. So I'm going back and forth. But either way, people are enjoying it. I think the word of mouth, as I was saying, would help if the people are saying, I don't stay at home. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel safe. I'm not vaccinated. I can't get vaccinated. I have a low immune system, whatever the reason may be. I think enough people would have hit play. Yes, of course, you have people that would torrent it and stuff like that. But I do really think most time, not all the time, but I think a good percentage of those people wouldn't have paid anyways. They would have just waited till there was a clear cut copy and watched it, or a cam bad version and watched it. There's tons of those people that don't. If they're just like mildly interested, they're not going to pay for that. They'll wait around and whatnot. So, and the thing is with PA, if we're going Black Widow's assessment, because I think Samba TV was like, it made like another 30 million. Like, that would make sense, right? If it made like another 30 million the weekend after, and then up until those court files came out, made like kind of another 30 million, and that's why we got to 120 around there. So what, you'd have like 90 million of PA versus another 40, and you got additional markets that could be opened up, sure. But as far as domestic, you got like 30 to 45 million. I don't know. It's just that I just don't see. It all depends what they. Okay. The bottom line is, if it is lower than, if it makes lower than Black Widow, how do you go and pitch to the stockholders, we're not going to do PA for Eternals? Especially Eternals, I think will have a harder time. Now, it could have a Guardians breakout moment, or even a Shang-Chi breakout moment where word of mouth is just great, right? I think it's going to be more serious, less comedic. So I think that it won't have that same like rewatchability, but either way, it could just be an epic scale, right? That people got to go see it. But how do you, at the end of the day, if Shang-Chi makes less than Black Widow, if it's close by a couple million, then you can make the argument. But even then, if it's close by a couple million, someone can make the argument and go, oh, what if we could add even 60 million PA access money and all profit? It's so tough to argue against it, right? And right now, the worldwide record for the worldwide record. Let me look this up. I'll answer your chap's question. Funny that Falcon and Winter Soldier ended with the Captain America and Winter Soldier when there's a movie with a very similar name. Yeah, it's interesting, but at the end of the day, the IMDb is never going to say Captain America and the Winter Soldier, right? And I don't think there's going to be another season. So as of right now, you have 146 million for Shang-Chi. Box Office Mojo fucking sucks because they redid their website, and I don't know how they've not changed it back after so many people were like, this sucks, it sucks. So 146 versus 100 or 372. So let's do and I'm just rounding down. So 372. I'm doing math because I'm not going to do that on the spot. Not this late. 127 million. Oh, actually, wasn't it less than, or I thought it was more 127 million because that was 146 million. So hang on here. Math, ladies and gentlemen, math. Okay, here we go. Drum roll, please. So we're rounding down for both numbers, right? 372 million. There we go. Takeaway 120. I did again. I should edit this part out, but I feel like I got to keep it just for the bloopers for next year. Okay. So 372 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Take that. Take away. Jesus Christ, calculator. People will never see this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Except for you in the chat. You were trap, yeah. Yeah, you were trap, you. It's our little secret. So you would have to make, it has to make 226 million plus, because I just rounded down, right? Word of mouth, I guess. We'll see. But like I said, if it doesn't make that, and the other thing is, you have in less than 45 days or whatever, now at this point, less than 45 days, it will be free premiere on Black Widow. It'll be free on Black Widow. It'll be free on Disney Plus, unlike Black Widow, where Black Widow still has premiere access going right now. Can it make that amount? Like, unlucky Taylor and Kirkland aren't here because I don't have to like Trask told you so. But like that's tough. I think it's gonna get really close. But if I had to guess, it's gonna match it and either be just a little over or a little under. Nothing crazy. I don't think it's gonna like double it. And who knows? Maybe if it like opens in some of the Asian markets. Maybe it does have a jump up. We'll see. But it could also be like Crazy Rich Asians, where it's like, no, this isn't for us. We get these movies all the time. And again, though, my main point is if that happens, we have Eternals coming up and we have Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man, I feel, is more confident as Venom was just like, fuck, let's move up. But Venom might be their test where they thought, oh, Shang-Chi did really good. Let's take advantage. Let's go up. And then that just go, then Spider-Man will get kicked back like a motherfucker. But lots of rumors say there's been mix of scoopers being like, it's getting delayed to no, it's staying to this date. So Sony's hard to predict, but I think with Disney, it all comes down to what were their internal expectations? What were their eternal expectations as far as only the small group of people? Has there ever been an official confirmation this film will drop on Disney Plus after 45 days? I thought that was POV date. I'm pretty sure if you search up there for free, I thought they said that during the last Disney investors call, Urtreo. I think they said Free Guy and Shang-Chi were experimenting. They love experimenting. I think they were at the 45-day window. I really do. But I could be wrong. So if someone wants to correct me on Twitter or Facebook or in the Discord, you can do that. But I'm pretty sure that's what they're going with. So, like I said, it all comes down to what they are internally expecting. And if it's under, even if it's just 10 million, do you look at it and go again, why don't we do Premier Access? We would have made this money. We could have made another $128 million additionally to this and even spout it as like, look at our day and date release and all we go and like we beat Black Widow with the highest grossing Disney. Like you could say all this stuff, right? But how do you justify, especially if it's under, how do you justify not doing that? It's again, all we don't know, but all we have to think is that they got a number and does Shang-Chi match it? And as I see it, I see that it's doing better than expected. We all wrote it off, right? As far as releasing a Delta variant, not a great time. I think it's doing much better than we all thought. So that's awesome. The question is, can that keep happening? We'll keep doing better than what we think will happen. Because now I feel like we have that moment. Because I had that moment too where Black Widow didn't open to the 100 million. That would have been like the mass, like, whoa, we're back. But still seeing a movie like Fast 9 happen, but then also seeing Black Widow open up to 80 plus was like, okay, maybe we are back. And I remember when like Marvel Alliance was happening, I think I sent a question like, what Marvel movie could hit 1 billion? Because at first Black Widow was having that like almost like it was a lower opening, but still having like that opening where it's like, oh, it's going to be successful, everything like that. We're chugging along, movies are back. And then that second weekend just came and tanked, and that discussion ended real quick. And it went from like, it went so fast. The conversation from Black Widow did so well, movies are back, to man, why is Black Widow such a disappointment? Which were stupid articles, the same way as Suicide Squad. Like, we know why. These movies are test grounds. Black Widow comes out on Blu-ray next Tuesday. Okay, that's cool. So it should be gone. Well, I think it doesn't go to Disney Plus the right way. I think there's some kind of like it goes to Blu-ray and then waits a little bit. But yeah, I'll watch it at some point again. I'll get around to it, but I'm in no rush. I have other things I'd much rather watch than Black Widow. Again, I passed the movie, but just I literally have multiple things in the MCU that are like Black Widow, just better. So because like I said, what do you do? Either do you delay Eternals or do you put Eternals with the PA now on it? There's so many questions and there's so many decisions that these people are going to have to make, and I would not want to, because these some of these are $1 billion decisions, definitely $1 million, but for someone like a Spider-Man, that's a potential $1 billion decision right now. So I don't know. It's tricky. I don't think it's gonna. I think it'll just match Black Widow or come under. And then after that, what do they do? Do they push or do they do the PA route for Eternals? And I'd love PA because I think that gives more option. And I think that they make a lot of money there too. Like if you look at last time with Black Widow, they made 80 million domestically and then 60 on the PA. They made more from that 60 PA. So I'm just somebody that like especially right now with GeekVerse, we're talking about doing some moves, and it's just like, yeah, something like over here. I did the same thing. We did the same thing with Spreaker back in the day. We talked about how we switched podcast hosts, where luckily we've recovered a lot because we had to make changes. But when we switched podcasts, like platforms, we had lots of people on SoundCloud, tons, and we left lots, and they had to jump over or change. But we were guaranteed to get more ad revenue from Spreaker. So that's where it's like, well, you might get listened to a little less, but if we get more money, that helps with gear and everything like that. And it was the best decision we ever made. So, do they invest more in PA? I don't know. Do they? Oh, it's just tricky. Like I'm just trying to think like what would be my official prediction is, like I said, it gets close to Black Widow or just a little bit over. I feel like they offer PA with a turn. I don't know. I like, now with a gun in my head, I feel like I'm more confident that they would push Eternals back, to be honest, because it's just like, do they have enough data? But it's all about second weekend. Because I think you, me, and whoever else is listening to this, if it comes out next weekend, completely eat shit, that's 70% plus drop, then I go, okay, Premier Access is coming. Like that's 100%. But if it gets in this gray area of, oh, it's doing well, it's not doing like, pre-COVID well, but it's doing pretty well for a second weekend, then, I think they'd rather have it come out and just do like a home run. Like if it made like another 60 million, it's like, okay, no Premier Access, or completely bomb. If it's that somewhere in the middle, you just don't know, because you don't know from a Venom, from a Eternals, from a Spider-Man, what could its second weekend be? With the Spider-Man, there's a chance it could be big, but if cases are big back up, will it deter people from going? Obviously, that's not Premier Access, but I'm just talking about Marvel movies and being delayed. Man, it's like I said, I would not want to be making these choices if I was the head honcho. I know they get backed by lots of billions or millions of dollars, so that must be nice, but it's also your ass is on the line. So yeah, that's everything. Like I said, quick episode. Just wanted to talk about Shang-Chi because I might not be on the newscast coming up. And thank you to everyone that listened. And I hope whatever comes out content-wise in the next little bit, whether I'm on it or not, I'll be on Dexter Retrospectives. Those are pre-recorded. I promise that the team will try their best to make it not boring. Thank you very much.